The reason that we are here today is because I'm going to be doing a bit of a presentation, running some exercises, some visualizations, and presenting some information around the concept of self-image. Now, our self-image is vitally important. What we think about ourselves controls a lot of the actions that we engage in and what we expect of other people towards us and what we expect of the world towards us. So hopefully everyone can get a little bit of information about some of the things that are controlling why they're doing what they're doing today, and we'll go from there. So first of all, I'm just going to give a bit of an intro about me. My name is David Turner. I'm doing life coaching for the company, my company, Better Way Coaching. I've been doing that for a little while now. And the way that I kind of got started on this personal development journey was about 2.5 years ago, nearly 3 years ago now. I went through some changes in my life where I decided I needed to actually make some positive changes. I was realizing that things just weren't happening in the way I wanted them to, and I wanted to do better. Things just weren't great. So I went on a bit of a quest to find a mentor, and I found all this material, and a lot of things kind of changed for me quite quickly, which was fantastic. So for those of you who don't know, I had a condition called chronic fatigue syndrome, which meant that I was just really tired all the time, just really tired. So it wasn't a great situation to be in, but it had been going on for so long that I had this self-image of me being sick all the time. Now, as I started working with a mentor, she helped me come up with some new concepts, some new ideas about things that I was doing, and things just started changing really quickly. The more I studied the material, the more I worked with someone who actually knew what they were doing and could actually help me, the more things turned around for me. Now, some of the things that happened was, I got rid of the chronic fatigue syndrome, improved my income at work, just improved my happiness in general because I could actually do more and go and explore things. So in the last couple of years, I've done some things like go to Spain by myself, which was, 3 years ago, an absolute crazy idea to think that I would be in another country by myself, just, hopping on buses and staying in hotels and all that kind of stuff when I couldn't even usually trust my health or my body to get me out of bed some days. So that's a little bit about me and why I'm now presenting here. Now, the thing I want to do now is set the intention for the session. It's the attitude that we go into anything, or the way that we embrace it or embark on it, that actually really determines what we get out of something. Like if we go to a concert and we're just not in the mood for a concert, we don't want to hear loud noises, we're not going to have a good time. It could be the most amazing concert ever, but we're just not going to get anything good out of it. Now, everything has good and bad in it, but the way that we go into it determines what we get out of it. So for this session, I just want you to have a think, because this is where we're gonna have some exercises throughout this. So I hope you've got a pen and paper handy. That would be amazing. I just want you to think about what it is that you want to get out of this. Like, why is it that you're here? If you've come here just to take in some information, you can just write down that, that's fine. But the intention that we have for anything determines how we go through it. So just take a pen and paper, or maybe just sit in there and think for just a second about what it is that you want to be getting out of this session. Just give you guys like a minute or so to think about it. Could be just to improve your mood. If you're in Melbourne with the weather, could be just because of that. Maybe you just wanted to see a whole bunch of positive people. Maybe there's something that you're thinking about yourself that you really want to change. All right, awesome. Now, has anyone got anything that they'd like to share on that note? Something that maybe they thought about, that a reason why they're here? You don't have to share. It's okay if you don't want to, but if anyone has anything that they'd like to say, I'd like to hear. You just have to unmute yourself by pushing the button if you want to. No? All right, no worries then. All right, we'll get into it. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is, we did this last week and everyone kind of really enjoyed it. It's a little bit strange for some people if you've never done anything like this before, but it's a breathing exercise. I can see Ra smiling there because she remembers what we did. All right, now all we're going to be doing is closing our eyes and doing a little bit of a breathing exercise. Now, if you're a little bit self-conscious, one of the things that we're going to be doing in this involves some movement. So just have a look around you, because you're going to be literally moving your arms around a little bit. So just make sure there's a little bit of space, that you're not going to knock something over. And if you are a little bit self-conscious, you can turn your camera off. I would understand completely. I'm going to leave mine on. So if you want to stick with me and look a little bit ridiculous together, then that would be amazing. All right. So I just want you to slowly just like close your eyes a little bit. This doesn't have to be a hard close. It can just be like a soft close. Just letting a little bit of light in. I want you to just think about your breathing for a second. Focus on the air coming in, the way that it fills up your body, any kind of movement that your body has from this air coming in. Just notice how your chest rises, maybe your shoulders go up, and as it comes out, maybe your shoulders drop a little bit, maybe your back straightens when it comes in, and then folds a little bit when it goes out. All right, we're going to move into a breathing technique where we do some in breaths and some out breaths, but then what we're going to do, and this is the part that's a little bit bizarre for some people, is we're going to breathe in a big deep breath, and when we hold it, we're going to breathe in and out of our nose as quickly as we possibly can. So it might feel a little bit ridiculous. It's going to be kind of like this, just like a... And I know that sounds ridiculous, and it might look ridiculous. It might even feel ridiculous. But we're going to be doing 3 cycles. And then on the 3rd cycle, we're going to bring our arms up at the same time as we take that deep breath. And when we do those in-out breaths, we're going to move our arms up and down at the same time as those in-out breaths. So it's going to look a little bit ridiculous, or might feel a little bit ridiculous. But the movement and the breathing at the same time has a really positive effect. All right. We're going to move through this now. So take a nice deep breath in. Let it fill your lungs and breathe out. Feel the energy that comes in with the breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Now on this one, we're going to breathe in, and we're going to do this fast breathing for 10 seconds. So breathe in and hold it, and fast breathing for 10 seconds. And relax. Let's take a couple of normal breaths. Notice if there's a bit of a change in the energy of how you're breathing in your body. All right, now we're going to take a deep breath and do the quick breaths again. So deep breath in and quick breaths for 10 seconds. Relax. Again, noticing any changes that are happening to your body from the breathing technique. Notice if there's any feelings in your body that weren't there before. All right, for this next one, I need you to bring your hands up beside you, about shoulder height. And what we're going to do is when we breathe deeply in, we're going to pump them up and down at the same time as breathing in and out of our nose. Now, it might feel a little bit strange, but just go with me on this. It's going to be fun. All right, so deep breath in and out with the hands going up. Go. And relax and bring your hands down. Now just sit there for a second and just notice the difference in the breathing technique that you're using, like the way that you're breathing right now, maybe the way that your body's feeling. All right, now you can slowly just open your eyes. All right, awesome, guys. Now that's something that I picked up from Tony Robbins that I found really, really, positive. Whenever I do it in the morning, the way that you're moving your body and the way that you're breathing, it really just energizes you and wakes you up. It also gets you really feeling your body. So just a fantastic thing. I do it first thing in the morning each day. So yeah, I love it. All right. So now the reason we're all here is to try and learn a little bit about self-image. Now, most of us have like a self-image. We may not be aware of it. We may not think about it that much, but we hold an image of ourselves in our mind. And knowing where you are at and what that image is of you actually allows you the chance to change it. When you don't know who you are or what it is, that the image that you have of yourself, it's kind of hard to change because you don't really know what to expect from yourself. You can kind of want to do something and then you don't do it. And you're like, well, why didn't I do that? Well, the problem is you don't actually believe that you are that person. You don't have the image of that person who does that thing. And the more you know about yourself, the more you can direct yourself into the life that you want to have. So we're going to go through an exercise now, which is something that I picked up from my mentor, Bob Proctor, through a program called Lead the Field. And it's a really powerful exercise if you've never done it before. What you're going to need is a pen and paper, still from before. If you've got one, that'd be awesome. Now, the exercise is, there's a saying, it goes, I am not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Now, what that means is the opinion that you think that other people think of you, generally speaking, is the closest thing to how you think you are as a person. So what I want you to do is write down 3 people who know you really well in a certain try and make it in different aspects of your life. So it could be someone who's one of your best friends. It could be someone who you know at work, someone who you're in a relationship with, or someone who's a member of your family. Now, this person has to know you pretty well. So, if you're always completely different around this person, probably not that person, but just pick 3 people. I want you to just write it down. All right. So for those, we just had a couple of people just join. I'll just explain to them quickly what we're doing. We've got Lee and we've got Bella. All right. So Lee and Bella, you guys have just joined. We're about to do an exercise. It's called I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. So what we're doing is picking 3 people who are in key areas of our lives that know us the best. So someone in maybe our friendship group, maybe a partner, maybe our boss, maybe one of our parents or family members. And we're thinking about people who know us really well. Now, what I want you to do is write down an accurate description. Now, these people have been told they have to write me a letter about you, and they're not allowed to lie at all. At all. So they're going to write me a letter describing to me things like maybe your work ethic, how good you are as a friend, what kind of employee you might be, what kind of partner you might be, what it is that you do well at, what are some of your flaws, what are some of your strengths. But it has to be a completely accurate and 100%. They're not allowed to lie at all. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes now, and you're going to write that little bit of a letter to me about who it is that you are or who they think you are. The first time I did this, there was some things where I just thought people would be, yeah, he's really nice and he tries really hard, but sometimes he doesn't follow through. Or it could be, the really nice, caring, compassionate, really good friend, always there when you need him. Maybe it could be about how you are with money. could also think about what kind of mood people think that you're in most of the time. If they say that you're a happy person, that you're easy to get along with, or that you can be confrontational, difficult. Remember, it has to be the truth. These people are writing to me, describing you. If anyone has any questions about the exercise as well, feel free to ask. You can either ask in the chat box, or you can, where's the chat? There it is. Or you can just unmute yourself and ask. All right, looks like most people are done with that, so that is good. All right, now that would be a pretty close to accurate description of you. Now, like, if you were to read back to it, most people would agree that most of what they've written there is like, yep, that's pretty much me. The first time I did this exercise, it was a little bit confronting, to be honest. So if you've had some negative emotions come up from that, that's quite normal. I remember when I did it, there's a lot of things that kind of come up for me that I wasn't very happy about, but knowing who you are and what the things that are maybe that you don't like about your personality is a good starting point, so you know what it is that you would like to be working on. Now, I'm going to just do a little bit of a presentation here with some information, with some slides that I've made. Now, I'm just going to share my screen. All right, beautiful. Now, can everyone see my screen at the moment? Thank you, Ra. You're the one person who I can see the picture at the top there. All right, beautiful. All right. Now I'm just going to minimize that so I can see the slides. All right, so this is some information that I've come to get through one of my mentors, which is Bob Proctor, which is, if anyone doesn't know Bob Proctor, he has the Proctor Gallagher Institute over in, I think it's Toronto in Canada, and he's been studying this material for like 58 years, and he does lots of presentations all the time. He's like 86 years old, and he's like does like 5-day seminars on his feet. It's absolutely crazy. So the guy's got a lot of energy. So what we want to be talking about today is self-image. So why is self-image so important? Now, our self-image actually sets the boundary of human accomplishment. Now, that was something that was said by Dr. Maxwell Maltz in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics. He was a plastic surgeon in the 60s, and he would do a surgery on someone, and afterwards he'd notice obviously that there was like some physical changes. But what he started noticing was sometimes after he did a surgery, not only would the person's physical appearance change, the way that they talked, acted, and greeted other people completely changed. They just got more confidence. But then he also noticed that sometimes that did not happen. It did not matter how successful the surgery was, how much better they looked. There was no psychological change at all. And that led him to believe that we actually have two images in our mind. We have number one, which is the one that we project to the world. That's the way that we walk, the way that we talk, the way that we comb our hair, the way that we dress ourselves, the way that we just be as a person. Now, the second one is the picture that we hold inside. This is really important to understand because we can project whatever it is that we want out into the world. But the picture that we hold inside is the one that's ultimately going to control what happens in our life. It's ultimately the image that we hold inside ends up reflecting on the outside in the form of our results. When we improve our inner self-image, we improve our results in life. And this really is key, because when we have a thought about who we are as a person deep inside of us and we can see it, that will control our behavior to a large degree. And when we can change that self-image of ourselves, we grow in confidence, we grow in abilities, we grow in our want to even take on new challenges in life. And it's important to know this because we actually do think in images. If I say to you, what color is your car? An image of your car comes onto the screen of your mind and you can tell me what it is. If I ask you, which way does your fridge open? From left to right or from right to left? An image of your fridge will come into your mind of you opening your fridge and seeing which way it does it. Now, this is really important because the way that we see things in our mind creates beliefs in us about what it is that we're capable of doing. And without an image in our mind of what it is that we're trying to do, we have confusion. Now, think about when you get IKEA instructions to make furniture. I know most of you guys have tried to make some IKEA furniture. Imagine if they did not have any diagrams in there. It would be absolutely horrendous. There's no chance that I would have been able to put it together, half the things I put together, without those little drawings. Now, when we have that image of what it is that we're trying to create, we can see when we put something together that it worked. That looks right. We're going in the right direction. And if we want to change the image in our mind that we have of what it is that we're trying to create, we need to have an image to work with. Now, this is an image that it was created by a doctor in the 30s. It was a chiropractic, holistic kind of doctor in the 30s. And he realized that no matter what he did with the body, if he couldn't change someone's mind, it didn't really give any personal, like long-term change in results. It just didn't make much difference. He could fix the body, but then if their mind was still creating problems, then it didn't really matter. And he realized we needed an image. So he came up with this and he called it the stick person. What he did was divide our mind into two parts, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, I know there's a lot more parts to the brain and the mind, but for this kind of presentation, we're just going to be focusing on these two. Now, the body is an instrument of the mind. That's why it's so small down there. The body has an enormous control over what it is that the mind has an enormous amount of control over what our body does. Now, our conscious mind, for those of you who don't know, is our educated mind. It's our thinking mind. It has the ability to accept or reject ideas. It has the ability to reason with information as it comes in, and it's hooked up to the world around via our senses, which are our ability to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So we'll see things and we'll think through it and be like, do I believe that's real or that's not real? Like if someone said to me, I can fly, I'd be like, okay, do you have a jetpack? Do you have a plane or a helicopter? Nah, I'm just going to jump off this building. I can fly. I'm just going to go through all the stuff I know, like in my educated mind, go, that's not going to work. I should probably call someone. Now, the other part of our mind is our subconscious mind. Now, that's our emotional mind. That's where we don't actually have any ability to reject. Anything that's impressed from our conscious mind that we tell our subconscious mind is true, we just accept. And that's how beliefs are formed. So that's where our beliefs and our habit and behavior are stored in our subconscious mind. This is also where our self-image lies. What we believe about ourselves and the world around us controls our self-image. Now, self-image tied to our beliefs about ourselves and what we're capable of, what we're worth, and it's expressed in our habits and behavior. Now, our conscious mind, ridiculously, thinking and all that kind of stuff, it's only responsible for about 2 to 5% of our behavior, whereas our subconscious mind is responsible for 95 to 98. This is because we do so many things habitually without even thinking. The way that we drive our cars, the way that, like, if we see a stop sign, we just stop. We don't have to think about it and go, oh, hang on, what do I do here? It's just programmed into us. We know what to do. Like sometimes we can drive our car home and not even know how we got home. Like, I don't even remember driving here, just because we're on autopilot. Now, it's also estimated that our subconscious mind is 30,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind. And if you doubt that, that was from Google, and Google is usually right. So now our subconscious mind is formed, like all these beliefs about our self-image, about who we are as a person, is formed when we're younger, when we don't actually have a conscious mind. We don't have the ability to reason with things, to decide whether it's true or not, because we don't have any information. If someone, when we're a kid, says someone's bad, we don't have any information to go against it. So we just go, fair enough. Now, as a baby, someone else's, all right. Yep, okay, cool. Yeah, as a baby, we don't have any ability to accept or reject information. Our subconscious is wide open. So whatever beliefs or biases or habits the people around us had, generally we developed just because we wanted to be like them. We wanted to fit in and we could see them doing it. So we replicated that behavior. And this relates to the language we speak. So, if you're Australian, if you had a Chinese baby that grew up in a family in Australia, it would most likely grow up speaking English and it would not have any idea about speaking Chinese. They can't decide at that time, hey, dude, I'm Chinese. I want to learn that language. Or maybe he wants to learn French. Like, man, French is a sexy language. I want to learn that instead. He doesn't have a choice. And so this relates to the language we speak, the food we eat, our religion, because a lot of us grew up in different religions, and our beliefs about money and our self-image. Now, a belief is a feeling of certainty about something, and quite often when we reevaluate a belief, we realize it to be false. Because beliefs are formed just by continuously telling ourselves repeatedly something over and over that it's true. So when we change what we believe, we can change our behavior. Now, we think in thoughts, those thoughts create feelings, and those feelings create emotions. Now, the emotion is actually derived from the Latin word. I think it actually translates to energy in motion. So our body is a molecular structure. So when we think thoughts and we cause feelings in our body, it causes us to act in different ways. If we think of negative thoughts, it will create negative feelings, and our body goes into a negative state of like anxiety. We don't tend to want to act and like go out into the world and be happy, go lucky. No, it just doesn't work that way. So what we want to do, and when we act a certain way, that causes a result. So what generally seems to happen is that we look at the result that we've got in our lives, like around us right now, and we use our senses to look at it. Then we have thoughts about that. We have a feeling that creates the emotion, that causes an action, and we get a result, which is usually the same result. And we just get stuck in this cycle of looking at the situation, the circumstances, and then being, oh, that's how it is. All right, I'm going to think this way because of that. And then we just get stuck in a circle. Now, if we want to create a new image of ourselves and we want to create a new result in our life, we have to think a thought that is different enough that we can impress it on our subconscious mind. So we've got to accept a new thought. It's not just about thinking something, it's about accepting it. Accepting that this is a thought that we want to be thinking, that it's going to lead us to the kind of person that we want to be. Creates a new feeling, creates a new emotion, creates a new action, and we get a new result. And then we can look at this new result and go, that worked. I like that. I want to go more on that path. And then we can go into a positive feedback cycle where we actually advance in life. Now, the mental faculties are a part of the conscious mind, which is really important to know, because when we want to change a result, we have these mental muscles in our conscious mind, which we can use in that 2 to 5% of the time to get what we want or to not get what we want. So we've got our ability to reason. Now, our ability to take information and reason with it is key. And if we want the self-image that we want, we have to be thinking about like, okay, I've seen this person, they've got a result I want. They're not that much smarter than me. Maybe I could do it. I could do what they're doing. So we can reason with the information, with the thing, instead of looking at it and going, oh, I haven't been able to do that before. I'm not going to do that. See how that creates like the negative feedback loop? We need to be able to look at things that we want and reason with it so that we can make it so that it seems possible that we're going to be able to do it. Now, our perception, that's our ability to see it from another place, from another person's point of view. Maybe if we can't do something, we can think to ourselves, I still want to do that. I want that result. How would the person who would do that think? And we can look at it from a different perspective, maybe find some different actions. Our memory, and our memory is our ability to remember information. And that's really important because we want to remember where we're going, who it is that we want to be. And all these mental faculties you can develop. Memory, there's lots of memory exercises you can look up on the internet. Now, will, that is our self-discipline and our ability to focus. Some people, when they develop that to a high degree, it can become a habit. But when it's not a habit, it's something that you have to consciously pull on, and willpower runs out. You can only force yourself to do something you don't want to do for a period of time before you go back to the way that you were before. And intuition, that is our sixth sense. So it's kind of like this feeling within us. It's the spiritual side of us wanting to express something. So if I ask you, do you want to quit your job? Most people tend to say yes. And I say, are you going to quit your job? No. Why not? Because the first thing that they thought was, yes, I don't want to be there. But then their reasoning is dictated by their conditioning and their circumstance at the moment. Like, yeah, I'd like to quit my job, but I can't because of this, and this. It's the people who live from their intuition, from what it is that inside of them expressing themselves, that end up being the happiest because they're following their true path. And our imagination is our ability to create something that is not there, like pens. Like, it sounds weird, but we don't just find pens out in the woods. Someone had to dream up a pen. They had to think about how it was going to work. They had to create the machinery that was involved to make the pen. And then we have the pen. Same with planes or phones or anything. They were first brought into like the world in someone's mind, and then they created it out in their actual life. Now, there are only two ways to change behavior permanently towards your self-image. And one is an emotional impact. So for instance, maybe a smoker has a heart attack and suddenly, oh my God, that was so scary. I nearly died. I need to see myself as a non-smoker. If I don't, I'm going to die. But the problem with emotional impacts is they can wear off over time. A positive one could be finding out that your partner's pregnant or that you're pregnant and being like, oh my God, I need to like change my life. I need to get my act together. And you start imagining ways that you can do that. The problem with emotional impacts is generally the emotion wears out over time. After, because if anyone's been through a breakup, at first it really hurts, but then 2 years down the track, sometimes it doesn't still hurt. So if it wears out, then the behavior will go back to how it was before. And the second way, which is the way that my mentor teaches me, is constant spaced repetition. That is just doing the same thing, thinking the same thought over and over again until it becomes a habitual, or a belief within you that expresses the behavior without you actually having to do anything. So some of the things I do with the constant spaced repetition is visualizing the same thing over and over again, seeing how I want to be over and over again, reading a self-image script over and over again about how it is that I want to be as a person. Now, when we do all this, we think about ourselves in the way that we want. We create a new thought, new feeling, new emotion, new action, new result. And then that just goes on a loop. So that's how that works. But how do we use this information to create a better self-image? That's a good question, because we want to use our mental faculties to create the image of who it is that we want to be. Now, this is important because when we did that exercise before, we had an idea about who it is that we are as a person, but most people don't have a clear image of who it is that they want to be in line with. A lot of the time it can be something that they actually don't need. It can be driven by ego. It can be driven by other things. So they'll be like, oh, I'd love to have money so I can do this, this, and this, but it's actually not really important to their values or who they are as a person. So we want to use our mental faculties to really sit and think about the kind of person it is that we want to be. To have a positive image is to be confident about who you are, what you are doing, and what you do or be. So self-confidence is really important in your image, because it's the confident people who get things done in the areas of life that we want to be doing it. So for instance, someone who I find who's really confident is Ed Sheeran, but it's not in the way that he talks in interviews. He's very shy. But when he gets up on stage, the thing that he wants to do is be an amazing musician. And when he gets into that state, like of just being on stage, he's just so confident because he knows what he's doing. He knows who he is and what it is that he wants to do. Even if he makes a mistake in that part of his life, he doesn't care. And yeah, so it's to have a positive self-image, you have to be confident about who you are, what you are doing, and what you want to do or be. Now, confidence means feeling sure of yourself and your abilities, not in an arrogant way, but in a realistic way, secure way. This means that it's not about just being like, oh, I'm better than someone, or, this, and this. Being confident is just being sure, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And it's the people who are confident that we want to follow. It's when people are unsure and they're not secure about it doesn't invoke confidence in us. When we feel confident about an area of our life that's important, we end up getting results that we want. Now, confidence isn't about feeling superior to others. It's a quiet inner knowledge that you're capable. It's not about being better than someone else. Confidence, some of the ways to develop confidence is being good at complimenting other people. Like even if they've got something better than you or they're doing something better, it's being confident is able to not worry about what other people think of you, whether they're better, worse, or anything in any different aspect of your life. And it's feeling secure rather than insecure. And what are some simple ways that you can improve your self-image or confidence? Well, put care into your appearance. Like we said at the start, like with how if some people can change their physical appearance slightly, then they can just be more confident. So that could just be putting on clothes that you like. Doesn't mean you have to go spend heaps of money. It could just be doing your hair in a way, getting a nice haircut. It's simple little things that make you feel more confident. Clean up your surrounding environment. It's really hard to feel confident and productive when your environment around you is all messy and all over the place. It doesn't make you think that you're good at looking after things or being organized. Now, Jordan Peterson, I love this one. It's walk tall with your shoulders back. When you walk and talk to people, the way that you express your body language really does show confidence. Now, with all of these things, it's not just fake it till you make it. It's do these things until it becomes a habitual way of being. And when you change the way that you think and then feel and then act, you get different results. So when you start looking the way that you want to look, feeling the way, cleaning up your environment around you, walking tall with your shoulders back, opportunities seem to come to you because people trust you more. So if your comfort zone is small, but then you start doing things that make it a little bit bigger, and opportunities tend to come your way where you get to challenge yourself and you get to grow as a person, and then you get better results. So, and the other thing is getting good at complimenting others. Now, this was something that I found kind of strange. I'm like, why is that something? Confident people are good at complimenting other people, because if someone else is doing really good, it doesn't affect them. They're not jealous. Now, when you think about that, it's like, if you see someone, they're wearing really cool clothes, do you think to yourself, oh, those are really cool clothes? Or do you think, oh, I wish I had his clothes? See, if you think, oh, I wish I had his clothes, you're not going to say anything because you're embarrassed or jealous. But if you're just like, oh man, I really like what you're wearing, that is really confident, because it doesn't matter where you're at, you're able to actually compliment someone else. So that is something to really practice. But it has to be a sincere, merited praise. It can't be just something that you're just making up. So getting good at complimenting others actually really does help your confidence. And I think that is, yep, all right, that one is done. All right, so did anyone have any questions about all that stuff that I just said? Because I feel like I ran through it quite quickly.
It was pretty good, very clear.
Awesome, thanks Bella. Was there any questions that you had about the presentation or the information? Oh, all right, awesome. What we'll do now is we're going to go on to the next part, which is, okay. To create a better self-image about yourself, you have to actually understand or have an idea of an area in your life that you want to improve. So like before I said, Ed Sheeran, he wants to be an amazing musician. He doesn't really care if he's not that good on camera in interviews. That's not a part of his life he's really that worried about, whether he looks really confident and, you know, engaging. He just wants to be an amazing musician. So picking an area of your life that you actually want to improve, that self-image and some of the things about yourself in is really important. So what I want you to do is just like take a pen and paper and just think for a second, what are some of the areas of my life that I would like to improve my self-image? Could be at work, could be your income, could be the way that you are in relationships. Could be the way that you are as a friend. Now, I want you to have a look if you've written down a few things. Which one of those areas would you most like to improve? Because you might have written down one, you might have written down three. But for this exercise, I'd like you to just pick one area. Now, what I said before in the thing about how we need an image to work with, we need to know what something looks like or what it feels like in a certain way before we can bring it into ourselves and kind of impress that information on us enough to change our behavior. So for instance, if there's something that we want to improve, like our confidence or the way that we talk with other people, what we need to be thinking about is, who do we admire in this area? If we want to improve our income, who do we like the way that they get their income? It could be someone who's famous, it could be a friend, or it could be a family member or anything like that. I want you to think about and write down in that area, who is it that you admire? So for me, like being confident and moving through a room and talking to other people is really important. So I think about Will Smith. I think about the way that he just walks into a room. He's just got that smile on his face. He's just relaxed, but he commands power. He's got a really positive aura. So I think about him when I think about doing a presentation or something like that, or the way that I walk. Not exactly him, but I just think of that kind of aura, that kind of confidence that he exudes. So think about some of the people who have those attributes that you like or that you want to emulate maybe. Now, some people might have to think long and hard about this. Other people might have a pretty clear image. Did anyone have anyone that came up for them that they'd like to share?
I said Ra.
Well, that's a little bit cute. Right, I think you have to say Michelle now. I think that's just like right. All right. So now that we've got that area that we want to improve, we've got the person that we think we can emulate. I want you to write a little bit about what it is that you admire about that person, like all those people that you've written down. Like I said, for Will Smith, I write down about his power, his aura. And for someone like Ed Sheeran, I admire how humble he is. Like this guy who's like the best songwriter in the world at the moment. He's making millions and millions of dollars. And he just goes to dive bars with his friends still. He's not sitting there living it up absolutely crazy. I mean, he does a little bit because who wouldn't? But that humbleness that he has from all of his accomplishment, he's not really up himself about it. And I like the way that like Bob Proctor presents when he does his seminars. He's like 86 years old and he's full of energy. I love that. I want to be like that. 86 years old, still able to walk around and present for 5 hours on stage. It's crazy. Could be something about the way that they go about things. Could be the impact that they have on the lives around them. Their contribution to society. Or even if you just think they're cool. All right, awesome. Now, the reason this is important is because when we start thinking about these things, we can start to get an image in our mind of what it is that we actually want to be, what it is important for us to exude. And the more that we're able to be like these kind of people and taking these positive attributes, the happier we're going to be. We're going to progress towards what it is that we want because we can see these people getting what it is that we want by the way that they're behaving. That's not an accident. It's not an accident. It's the way that we are as a person controls what comes into our lives. Now, I want you to now think about all the stuff you've just written down and think about some actions that you can do yourself. So I want you to just take a moment to think. If you were this person, you were acting the way that they're acting, what would you change? What would you do differently? Would you walk differently? Would you sign up to a course? Would you read different books? Would you listen to different music? Would you watch different documentaries on Netflix? If you were to emulate these people, what would you be doing differently? It could be simple little things. It doesn't have to be massive things like quit your job. It could be just be nicer to people on a day-to-day basis, have more compassion, not brag so much. Could be that they're fit and that they're healthy and they look after themselves. So it could be that you're going to maybe eat a little bit more organic, anything. The reason exercises like this are so important is they help us build the image of who it is that we want to be. And the clearer that image becomes, the more chance we have of expressing it if we think about our image, like our income, our body weight, we're set in a certain way. I think it was Maxwell Maltz as well that said that the image that we have inside expresses itself on the outside. But in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics, he said that we have a thermostat inside of us. We have an image of who it is that we're supposed to be, what is supposed to be around us. And when something deviates from that, we just have to bring it back. It's why 44% of all lottery winners lose all their money. They don't have an image of themselves being good with money and wealthy. So as soon as they get it, they don't change that internal image. And then they lose all the money. They don't change their way of being. They don't see themselves as good with money. They don't start seeing financial planners or anything like that. Same with like body image. So many people go on a diet and they lose weight and they lose like 5 kilos, 10 kilos, but they haven't changed the inner image of themselves to being that new weight. And they're programmed to just find it again. It happens every single time. People just go forward. They force themselves trying to change behavior without changing the image. And forcing behavior doesn't work over a long period of time. Now that we've kind of gone through a fair bit of that information, is there any questions that anyone has before we go into the last visualization exercise? No? Everyone's pretty happy with the information? Awesome. All right, now I think I have to share my screen again to do this. Now, one of the ways that we can get ourselves to have a clearer image is by visualization. Like I said before, everything is created in our mind before it happens in our physical world. The more that we can see ourselves as the person that we want to be, the more chance we have of sustaining that over a long period of time. Now, because we're very conditioned to go off what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. We look at things and we tend to believe it. But if we want to have something that we don't have, we have to create it. And the more, what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've been reading his book lately, Total Recall. Some of the stuff that he visioneered is just absolutely crazy. It defied everything. Like, he's a kid over in like Germany, Austria. Yeah, Austria. And he's sitting there going, yeah, I'm going to be a world bodybuilding champion. Then after that, I'm going to be the biggest movie star in the world. That is ridiculous. There was no one who was telling him that that was a good idea, that they thought that that was going to happen. But he had a vision. He had an image in his mind of him being able to do it. And it was so sure of it. He thought about it. He visioneered it. He could see it so clearly. He knew it was going to have to happen. The problem is most people are just so deterred by everything that happens around them that they get distracted from what it is that they want to do. What we're going to do now, because most people don't do this, is we're going to do a quick visualization exercise where we're going to take all those things that we've just written and we're going to go through some imagery and some situations, and we're going to have a bit of fun with it. All right. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is get yourself into a comfortable position. First of all, can you guys hear music coming through?
No.
No? What about now?
Nah.
All right. All right, what about now?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, beautiful. Can you guys hear my voice over the top of it?
Yep.
All right, awesome. All right, so I want you guys to get yourself into a nice, comfortable position. We're going to be here for about 8 minutes. So make sure you're nice and comfortable. Let yourself relax your shoulders, relax your body, stretch out a little bit if you need to. We're going to close our eyes and we're going to go quite still. Stretch a little bit, move your body around. Do whatever it is that you want to do, just to relax a bit. And when you're ready, I want you to slowly close your eyes. Listen to the music. Take some deep breaths. Feel your body rise and fall. Now I want you to think about that situation that it is that you're wanting to improve at the moment. It could be anything that you want it to be. Think about how it is right now. relationship, just think about what it is right now, how it's going. If it's work, think about how you're enjoying your job right now, how you're enjoying working with the people that you're working with. Now, I want you to start thinking about the attributes that you're wanting to project, that you're writing down before. How are you going to start changing this situation? I want you to start visualizing that. I want you to see yourself already in possession of that way of being, that self-image. How are you going to be at work? How are you going to be in that relationship that's different? See yourself talking with people. See yourself just bringing that really positive attitude that you want, that confidence. See the reaction it's having on the people around and the result. Now, I want you to focus in on some of the actions that you might be doing. You're being a certain way, but what are the actual things that you're making a priority? I want you to really be noticing how you're acting as a person. The more aware you are of the way that you're being, the more that you can replicate this. The clearer the image becomes, the more chance you have of believing it. Remember to stay relaxed. If something comes up that you don't know how to solve, that's okay. Just think, what would the person who I admire that gets the result I get be doing in this situation? See it from their perspective. Now, I want you to imagine that you're standing in front of a mirror. I want you to look over yourself. Imagine that you are the way that you want to be. You're dressed the way that you want to be dressed. Your hair is the way you want your hair to be. You look happy. Paint the picture. Maybe there's an energy about yourself. You just feel really confident. You're just so happy with this image. want you to take a quick screenshot of that image. Just hold that image in your mind as you come back. I want you to slowly put your hands over your eyes, holding that image still. And then I want you to slowly open your eyes. And then when you're ready, you can move your hands away. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that and that you got something out of that. Maybe you saw some different images of how you'd like to be, or you got inspired with some ideas of some things you'd like to do. I really do suggest that writing out as much as you can about what you just saw is super helpful. I mean, every day I have it's about a page long of stuff that I read out about myself, and I've got to record it into a recording that I just have on loop all the time. I listen to it when I'm going to bed. And it's really powerful to be able to change these little things about yourself. It's the repetition of the information, of that planning of the idea, of that image in your mind, of who it is that you want to be, who it is you want to become, and just allowing that image to soak in enough that you believe it, and not being distracted by what happens in your outside world. Not letting the results that you've got currently dictate how you act now. I like thinking about it like, imagine if you go to work and there's a guy that is there and he's always a pain in the butt. He's just always so not like mean to you. And you've been going there for like 2 years. Then one day you go there and he's really nice to you. You don't react to him as if he's the best guy in the world again. You go, oh, okay, that's a bit weird that he was like that. But after a while, if he maintains that and he does it for a period of months, suddenly you'll be like, oh yeah, no, that's how he is now. And that's the way that this works. The world will respond to you once you hold that image and you maintain it. You can't just do this once and expect something to change. You've got to repeat this information. You've got to repeat that image. Keep building it. Keep putting it in your thing until you do some things differently. People will respond. It takes time. It's not an instant gratification thing. It doesn't just happen like that. If you're wanting to make more money, don't expect to make $1 million next week. If you're like miles off from it. Some things just take time, and you've got to hold this image long enough that you can actually maintain it, impress it, and then change your behavior over time. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this session. That is our time today. If anyone has any questions or anything that they want to talk to me about after this, feel free to reach out to me on social media, A Better Way Coaching on Instagram, or David Fernandos Turner. Don't ask me why, that's my middle name, on Facebook. But yeah, feel free to add me if you want. And yeah, just go out and enjoy the rest of your day, guys. It's not so great in Melbourne, but it's not raining, so that's a plus. That's an improvement. All right, awesome. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you guys next time.